Let's get Sean Rowe up here.
Last spring, a couple of days after my 43rd birthday, I found myself doing something incredibly stupid and immoral, something I am ashamed to tell you about, but I'm going to do it. I found myself driving down I-40 between Raleigh and Chapel Hill, drunk as a lord. A police officer pulled me over and escorted me downtown to the Wake County Public Safety Center, which is a euphemism for jail. And I went before a very grumpy, very overworked magistrate. And I was still intoxicated and became argumentative. She became argumentative back. There was a bulletproof sheet of bulletproof glass between us, and she was sitting down, I'm standing up in these. And then I became downright belligerent, and the upshot was that I was summarily sentenced to contempt of court. And up the elevator I went to the 9th floor of the Wake County Public Safety Center, the last floor. The 9th floor of the Wake County Public Safety Center is where you spend time in solitary confinement. In modern parlance, it's called disciplinary lockdown. And so I did for the next 30 days in an 8x12 cement room with one window. The problem is that the window is painted black. But that's not what I'm here to tell you about. Here's a quiz question. 23 and a half hours a day you sit there in that cell, but for half an hour every day you get to walk around on the cell block or make a phone call or take a shower. Now, what is the one thing you want to be sure you do if you're planning to take a shower just as you exit that cell and before the guard handcuffs your hands in front of you? Because while you're having your half hour of liberty on that cell block, you're wearing handcuffs. Your hands are cuffed in front of you. Think about that, and I'll come back to the answer. So 30 days pass, and I go back down the elevator and take the bus back to Chapel Hill. And after a while, I go back to Raleigh and go to court and get sentenced to 30 more days in jail for my original crime, drunk driving. It was the second time I had done it. It could have been worse. Nowadays, as of 2 or 3 months ago, it is a felony in the state of North Carolina to get a second DUI. So be careful leaving here tonight. And so at some point last autumn, off I went on the bus over to Raleigh and surrendered myself at the Wake County Public Safety Center and went back to jail. Not solitary, but the normal jail. And this is where the story begins. It's a story about eating and drinking. And I think we've pretty much covered the drinking part. Except to tell you that this bottle of whiskey, if I were a better actor, I would continue to deceive you. But it's not filled with whiskey, it's filled with iced tea, and I'm going to have a sip. But wanted you to know that. So what I want to tell you about is Thanksgiving dinner in jail. And before I do, I'll tell you about normal meals in jail. Breakfast, for example, is reconstituted scrambled eggs, lukewarm grits, and 2 pieces of Wonder Bread and half an orange and a half pint of milk. Lunch. Oh, and if you are like me and you think that breakfast is incomplete without a good cup of coffee and a cigarette, you're screwed. Because there is no longer, contrary to our impressions from movies and TV, there isn't any coffee in jail at all. There's no caffeine. And there is no tobacco. You cannot smoke. And there's certainly none of this. I mean, there is iced tea, but it's decaffeinated. Lunch is something like overcooked spaghetti with meatless tomato sauce, 2 more slices of Wonder Bread, and a salad made out of iceberg lettuce and 1 slice of really hard, unripe tomato. Now, imagine eating, where's my third prop? Eating iceberg lettuce with a flimsy plastic spoon, because there aren't any forks, because that could become a weapon. Or eating spaghetti with a flimsy plastic spoon. For frustration, it's right up there with showering in handcuffs. Dinner is something, supper is something like a chicken cutlet, mysterious cutlet that's probably chicken, and 2 more slices, cornbread, and maybe some greens, and another half pint of milk, and a little something for dessert. On and on and on, over and over and over, largely the same things for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So there we are on Thanksgiving, November 22nd, is that correct? Is that Thanksgiving? It's 3:45 in the afternoon, and we are eagerly awaiting our Thanksgiving feast. I am sitting at a stainless steel picnic table that's bolted to the floor, the cement floor, with my 4 best new friends, Nate, who is here tonight, who was in for counterfeiting, Outlaw, a guy named Outlaw, who was a member of the Outlaw motorcycle gang, and he was in there for parole violation. Mac, who was in for conspiracy, not to assassinate the president, but to distribute drugs. And finally, JC, he's 20 years old and just beginning to shave, and he was in there because his own parents turned him in for growing a marijuana plant in his closet. So there we sit at our picnic table, each one of us wearing an orange and white striped Tigger suit and matching plastic flip-flops, shower shoes, and our stomachs are rumbling, and we're waiting for Thanksgiving dinner, imagining what it will be. And while we are sitting there waiting, we're having conversations, which are not like conversations you have on the outside. Conversations in jail go on for days, if not longer, interrupted by Maury Povich and Friday Night Smackdown, but resuming again. They just go on and on and on. And I was listening to Mac and Nate maybe talk about chicken heads they had known. And now, I was, pretending to be a tough guy, so I wasn't going to say I don't know what a chicken head is, but finally it became apparent. A chicken head is a prostitute who services crack addicts. You learn strange new words in jail, most of them related to sex. A fifi is any device used behind bars as a masturbation aid. But before I tell you what we ate for Thanksgiving dinner, I have to tell you that if the kind of food I just described were the only kind of food in jail, riots would probably rule the day. There is, thank God, the Tuesday commissary or canteen. If you have a little money, and you damn sure better, you can order snacks from the canteen. You can order 6 different kinds of candy bars, from Twix, the least favorite, to Snickers, the best seller according to a poll I conducted. And you can order peanut butter and jelly, and you can order honey buns and all sorts of candies. But the single most important thing you can order from the canteen is ramen noodles. The importance of ramen noodles cannot be understated. Most inmates spend up to half of their disposable income on ramen noodles because they are cheap, they're tasty, they're filling, and they have a good nutritional value. 2 days before Thanksgiving, a memorandum appeared on the wall of the cell block from Sheriff Donnie Harrison, the sheriff of Wake County. And the memo said this: as of such and such a date, 10 days forward, the following items will no longer be available on the commissary menu. Ramen noodles. Exactly. Now, rumors and then conspiracy theories began to spread like Malibu wildfire. Some inmates believed that this was the reason for the ramen noodle ban had something to do with water conservation. It was this, because we were in a drought, and it was some sort of sadistic edict that had been sent down by Sheriff Harrison just to be a killjoy. And then the next rumor was was based on the idea of a conflation or confusion between the words ramen and Ramadan. The black Muslim inmates came to believe that this was a paranoid, racist conspiracy aimed at them, black Muslims. But it got so problematic that finally one night a senior lieutenant of the guards appeared to calm things down and explain the situation and avert a riot. You should know that the way that LeCount Catering Services got the $1 million contract to serve the food in the Wake County jail system 11 years ago is that the inmates almost rioted because another outfit, Aramark, was serving meals 6 hours late, and moldy orange juice and human hair and the stroganoff and whatnot. But so where was I? Oh, the senior lieutenant of the guards explains the real reason for the ramen noodle ban. The reason is that too many inmates had been mixing their ramen noodles at the sinks in the jail from the hot tap water. That's how you do. You get an empty orange juice container and mix it up in the orange juice container from lukewarm water from the sink. And the noodle flotsam or jetsam, flotsam, had been clogging up the sinks. And the poor sheriff was having to spend thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars every month fixing these sinks. 3:45 p.m., there we are, and a guy we had posted over by the window says, "It's coming," which meant the trucks from LeCount Catering Services were pulling through the barbed wire portal, and the food was arriving. There has not been a meal cooked in the Wake County Jail in over a decade. The food is trucked in vans. And here it came. We could hear it trundling down the hallways in carts. I see someone shaking his head over there. You know what this is like. And finally, at this point, we're on our feet, all 27 guys in this cell block, and the dungeon door swings open, and in comes the carts with the trays, and we gather around, and we are hungry. And finally, the trustee lifts the first lid from the first brown plastic tray, and we get to see what is on the tray. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that I am going to describe to you another ghastly meal from LeCount Catering Services and how we subsequently lit our mattresses on fire and took the guards hostages. Or I'm going to describe to you a miracle by which LeCount Catering Services decided to serve us a 7-course gourmet meal. And I would describe this to you by stealing some pampered adjectives from Food and Wine and tell you about the pan-seared this and that and the Thumbelina carrots. But I'm going to cut to the chase, which is really, to be more accurate, the anticlimax, because under that lid was something in between. It was thick slices of turkey with hot gravy and dressing, plenty of it, and enormous pieces of chocolate cake, and turnip greens with chopped onions and milk. And that was our Thanksgiving dinner. And that is all I have to say, because I think I'm almost out of time, except to ask, has anyone figured out the quiz question? What is the one thing you want to do exiting your cell before you put on these handcuffs and your hands are cuffed in front of you and you're on your way to take a shower? Huh? What? That's very important too, but no, I'm thinking of something else, because you will be unable to take a shower basically if you don't do this.
Take your clothes off.
Take your shirt off. That's right. Take your shirt off, because otherwise you'll try to take your shirt off and you won't be able to. This story about jailhouse cuisine is an expansion, or actually a truncation, of a written story that I just completed for the Oxford American that will appear on July 1st or thereabouts. And I hope you will run out and buy it, because it's a good story, and it's got pictures in it that were done by our local artist Michael Brown, who does the murals on the sides of the buildings around town. Thank you very much.
Sean Rowe.